Hi everyone, I'm Carol Keller, independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator from Illinois in the United States, and I'm coming to you today for my usual Tuesday afternoon live. Today I am using a whole suite actually from the new catalog, and I cased the catalog. Case means copy and share everything, or copy and selectively edit, depending on who you ask. But I did actually copy the card pretty close to exactly. And it's actually on the front cover of the catalog. So I'm going to show it to you in just a second. So I'm going to turn my camera around right away so that we can get started with the project. And I'm going to show you first the catalog cover, because actually until the catalog goes live, that's all I can show you. But I decided that I was going to copy the card from the cover. I've never done that before, but it's such a pretty card, and it's using that suite, like I said, that I have really already come to love. This is my third card that I've made with the suite. We have Global Share Fair and Global Vlog Hop coming up this weekend, both on Saturday for me. And I used this parts of the suite on both of the projects. So this is my third card. So here it is. So there you go, pretty darn close to what's in the catalog, or on the cover of the catalog, I should say. So I'm going to move the catalog out of the way. And if you need one, by the way, let me know, and I will get one to you. And then let me show you, here is the stamp set, Happiness Abounds. And I love the font. I love it so much. A bunch of different sentiments. And then the dies are called Blossoming Happiness. And here are the dies. So all of these cut out all of these images. And then there are three other ones, and I'm going to bring in, I'm going to leave that here, and I cut them so I could show you what they look like. And we are using one of them on the card. So this one cuts this image, and then this one cuts the one that we're using today. And then this is very cool. I think my next card is going to be using this. So it cuts mostly, but then it has several, or a bunch, I guess, of parts that are meant to be just dimensional. They're not meant to come out. So I thought that was very cool. And I've seen this on a few cards, and it's really pretty. So that may be what you see next week. I have a feeling I'm going to be using this one quite a bit. So that's part of the suite. But along with the suite is the Hues of Happiness Designer Series papers. And they are stunning. So let me pull those up. Love the colors, and I love the way there's gradations of color throughout all of them. That's kind of the theme for almost all of the papers. And then on the other side, which we're using the back side of one of them today, we are using the back side. We're using this, and I cut out specifically the section of the card that I saw. I could tell what it was from the picture. So actually this is a different one. The one we're using today is the exact one that I got from the paper. So let's get started. I have, as usual, a basic white card base, basic A2 card, also works on an A4, and I have measurements for that. And I have cut this down to the size of the card front, so 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, or in metric 10 centimeters by 14.4. We're going to put that on right away with some multi-purpose liquid glue. Oh, isn't that so pretty? I'm telling you, two-sided paper, the struggle is real. When you find papers that are just so pretty on both sides, it's hard to use just one and know that the other one is getting hidden. All right, so we're going to put that right on the front of the card. So this is pretty much the exact piece that was on the catalog. And then I've cut this on the one side. I ran it through my mini Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine and cut it. So this is 4 inches long, and I'm going to cut it at 2 3/4 inches. And I could have done that in advance and then die cut it, and you do lose a little tiny bit on the edge, but I think it would still work. So those are the imperial measurements, but if you're in metric, then you're going to be cutting it at 7 by 12 centimeters. And then we're going to do just a little bit of stamping. There's not much stamping today because these were actually cut out of the Designer Series paper, and I'll show you that in a minute too. but we are going to stamp. So I've got the leaf stamps from the set and my Granny Apple Green ink pad. All right, here is the one. And I just, you know, eyeballed it from what I saw in the catalog. So one toward the top and then the other one toward the bottom. And, you know, placement doesn't have to be perfect because remember, whoever you give this card to doesn't know what the original one looked like, so it's all good. So there's our Granny Apple Green. We're going to do some stamping inside and we're going to do the sentiments. So I'm going to bring in Melon Mambo for that. I think that's what color they used. I can look it up. I just haven't had a chance to do that yet. And I literally have a little scrap of paper. This one is about 1.25 inches. This one's 1 inch, but it looks like the stamp will fit. So I'm going to try that. So you need it between, I would say, 1 inch and 1.25 inches wide and about 2.5 inches long, centimeters, 2.5 to 3 centimeters wide and about 6.5 centimeters long. So let's bring in that sentiment, wishing you all the happiness you can imagine. And we'll stamp that toward one end. Love photopolymer because I know that's how I know it's going to fit. I put it right over that. And then for the inside, I'm using congratulations because, of course, Stampin' Up, they don't show the inside. So you can kind of put whatever you want in there, but I thought the congratulations fit. And that is all of our stamping. So I'm going to move that ink pad out of the way. And now we're going to, well, we're going to cut this down just a little bit. And actually, I probably could have moved it over, but that's all right. I'm going to leave it like that. So I'm just going to cut it so it's got about the same border on each side. And that is, let's see, about 2.25 inches, maybe a little bit less. So it will vary depending on how much room you leave on each side. You could kind of approximate. And it looked like they bumped this up with dimensionals, so I did that too. So I'm pulling out my foam adhesive strips actually, because I like when you have something bigger, I like to use these. I had them for a while and didn't use them, and now that I've discovered them kind of, I use them all the time. But these strips are nice, like I said, for doing bigger sections. That'll do the trick. And then we'll take the paper off. So we're going to put this about here. And the flowers, I'm going to bring those in. I already cut them. And the leaves come from the Designer Series paper. So let me show you. A lot of the times now our dies coordinate. So I'm going to show you. You see, I cut the tops up, but the bottoms, I'm going to show you exactly. The large die, and let's see if I can do this on camera, find the right spot. You kind of have to, when you know it, you know it. There it is. So that fits over there, all the big flowers. And then they have this die, fits this one. And there are two that look like roses or rosebuds. Here's one. So you can't necessarily cut them all out at the same time because you would have to do only one of these and then the other one. And let me see, here's the other one. So you can cut out a lot of the flowers. It's very cool. Saves you time. You can also stamp them, of course, if you want, and then cut them out because the stamps are in the set. But this is a fun way to do it because it's got the two colors and more shading and detail too. So that's kind of fun. So now I'm using my Stampin' Seal. And I'm going to put it on the back, but not on the right-hand side because it hangs off just a little bit. And how do we want this? Maybe like this. And then this one is on, we're going to put it mostly on the right-hand side. We're going to tuck it under a little bit. And then the same thing with the leaves. And for these, I used glue dots. I thought that was a little bit easier. Using all the adhesives today. And position it. I think I'm going to move it down a little bit because it looks like the sentiment's going to cover it, and I want it to show because the sentiment, yeah, is going to go here. And so for this, I used my Stampin' Seal, again on most of it on the left-hand side, but because it's going to hang off the edge, I'm going to put one dimensional underneath. And we're going to position it right there. Could even almost put two. Let's put another dimensional underneath there. It needs a little bit more height because of the, should have thought of that, because of the one underneath it also has dimensionals underneath, or foam strips. We'll make that a little higher. We'll just stack that. Perfect. And before we put the bling, I thought, because I did die cut some of the flowers, some of the other ones, I thought it might be good to grab a couple of them, maybe 3, and put them on the inside on this side to help decorate that too. So let's see, we want a couple of different ones, maybe these 2 and this one, 3 different ones. And I'm just going to use my Stampin' Seal. First, I'm going to figure out how I want to arrange them. Let's see. Just kind of 3 across the middle. I think that works. What do you think? So we'll start and go from left to right. Because, you know, there's not really a wrong way. You could have grouped them differently, but however you do it works. And I didn't grab an envelope this time. I would probably stamp some of the roses, or maybe just the big one, the big flower on the front corner of the envelope. I like doing that. And definitely you could use some of that Designer Series paper on the flap. All right, I like that. I think that looks good. All right, so last but not least, bling. And I've got the Glossy Dots assortment. And I have found that these stick really hard to this or to this plastic. So I was having trouble yesterday with my Take Your Pick tool, which is what I normally use to put them on, but I'm going to try it again. And so again, they've got them kind of scattered throughout. Let's see if they can, we can get them working today. Oh, so far so good. So a couple down here. And I put the big one over here. I'm not sure if they used a big one or not on the cover. It looked like they might have just used the medium and the small, but I'm going for it. And then the same thing here. Yep, it's working better today. And one more, about there. And the Glossy Dots are Daffodil Delight, which is the color in the flowers. So that's why we use those. And that's it. There's our card. What do you think? I love it. I love those bright colors. All right, that's it. So thanks for joining me. This looks a little crooked. I might have to adjust a little bit. But thanks for joining me today for the card. All right, take care, everyone. Happy stamping.